What's up, guys? Theo here, doing a quick prediction for Mackenzie Dern versus Amanda Lemos. So right now, Amanda Lemos is a minus 140 favorite, and the comeback on Mackenzie Dern is plus 110 on DraftKings. But guys, I like Mackenzie Dern here. I know public opinion is pretty low on her after she lost that fight to Jessica Andrade, got knocked out, and looked really bad on the feet the entire time. But the reality is, even though I myself like Amanda Lemos a lot, and I bet on Lemos to beat Zhang Weili, I think that this is a bad matchup for Amanda Lemos, actually based on what we saw in the Zhang Weili fight. So when you look at the success that Amanda Lemos has had recently in the UFC that kind of got her to this position, the first thing was that she had a really impressive performance against Marina Rodriguez, who was the favorite in that fight, and Amanda Lemos managed to TKO her late in the round. It was very surprising upset. I don't think many people saw Lemos TKOing Marina Rodriguez in a stand-up. Marina is a pretty good stand-up fighter. And then she went on to Zhang Weili, and unfortunately, she was pretty much completely outclassed by Zhang throughout the fight, even though she did manage to stick around. At no real point was she winning that fight. And the reason for that is that, Zhang Weili was able to utilize offensive wrestling against her. Zhang Weili, and I've talked about this just in the same card, I've talked about this before, she is not a jiu-jitsu artist. All of her ground game is based on wrestling. The Chinese fighters, they don't really specialize in jiu-jitsu. Not that she can't sub people, but that's not really what they rely on. And we just saw in that fight that Lemos had absolutely no answer for when somebody aggressively, offensively wrestles her. And I think the reason for that is that Lemos, having good Muay Thai and good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, like a traditional Brazilian fighter kind of does, she has not really trained much counter wrestling or defensive wrestling or wrestling really at all. She's kind of a pure jiu-jitsu player. She gets people down, she has good submissions, she has good Muay Thai striking, and in that sense, she has the same weaknesses that other kind of traditional Brazilian styles have. They are all kind of weak to good wrestlers because they focus a lot on Muay Thai and jiu-jitsu, and they don't focus a lot on trying to incorporate wrestling into their jiu-jitsu, or even trying to adapt into kind of a more succinct form of MMA jiu-jitsu. She just kind of relies on the jiu-jitsu. But because of her abilities with jiu-jitsu, she is very easily taken down because she's confident to go to the ground. And in this case, that's not going to be good for her at all, because not only is Mackenzie Dern an extremely credentialed jiu-jitsu player and probably better at jiu-jitsu than Amanda Lemos is, but Mackenzie Dern also showed incredibly impressive offensive wrestling in the fight against Angela Hill. Yes, she wasn't really able to get Jessica Andrade down and wasn't able to capitalize on that, but Jessica Andrade has never been a Brazilian that relies on jiu-jitsu. Jessica Andrade is a Brazilian, but she is almost entirely a stand-up fighter, and as a result of that, she has always had really good takedown defense. So that was a pretty bad matchup for Mackenzie Dern in retrospect, even though she was the favorite and kind of everyone was writing Jessica Andrade off. It was a bad matchup for her at the end of the day. She was going up against someone with better striking and good takedown defense. And we saw in the Angela Hill fight right before that Mackenzie Dern was able to completely overpower, completely drag Angela Hill down. And we saw her take Angela Hill down very easily with trips and just dragging her down, and she was able to put a lot of energy into those grappling exchanges. And we saw Lemos get taken down similarly as easily by Zhang Weili. So this is just a bad matchup for Lemos. Mackenzie Dern has all of the weapons to capitalize on Lemos's weaknesses, and she has strengths that are going to neutralize Lemos's strengths. So Lemos's advantage here is going to be on the feet. But guys, Mackenzie Dern is not like some really, really terrible striker. I mean, she's not good at it at all, but there's this narrative going around that Lemos is going to knock her out in the first round. I really don't think that's going to happen. Even being completely outmatched on the feet with power by someone like Andrade, Dern was able to hang around. She was tough enough that she sat there and she ate a lot of shots. And she showed that she can survive even when someone turns up the striking heat on her. She lasted well into the second round, even though she was being completely outclassed. And Lemos doesn't have the same power threat that Andrade has. She has timing and she has good striking, but she's not going to be able to make this entire fight a stand-up fight, especially given that she herself is willing to go to the ground. She's just kind of out of options to win this fight if she does not manage to knock Mackenzie Dern out. And I kind of like Mackenzie Dern to survive on the feet here as well. I think everyone can tell that Mackenzie Dern is on some supplements. Her physique has changed dramatically in the last few fights of hers, so I do think that she is probably on steroids at this point. That's not going to make her a better striker, but it is going to mean that she has power. I mean, she kind of was relying a little too much on it in the Andrade fight. She was trying to overpower Andrade, who has a ton of power, so that wasn't going to work. But here, she's got the wrestling tool, she's got the jiu-jitsu, and she's tough enough on the feet that she can survive. And Amanda Lemos is not really known as this incredibly aggressive striking threat either. Yes, she managed to defeat a good striker in Marina Rodriguez on the feet, but she wasn't really winning most of the striking exchanges in that fight. She kind of found a moment and an opening late in the fight and managed to capitalize on it. It's not that she was in control of all of those striking exchanges. So I just don't think the striking advantage of Amanda Lemos is going to be enough to overcome Mackenzie Dern's tools here, especially at plus money. I would have liked to have gotten Mackenzie Dern at plus 125, which is what the line was, but that line has dropped. I think a lot of sharp people who watch a lot of tape probably realize that Lemos has no real answer for that wrestling, and they kind of realize that Dern has looked really good as a wrestler lately. So that line has come down to plus 110. I already have one unit on it in the Bet MMA tips at plus 110. I may add another quarter unit or half unit to it, depending on how Mackenzie Dern looks during fight week and how she looks on the scale and how she sounds mentally. I have a feeling she's one of these people that once she kind of gets upset like that and kind of has an embarrassing moment, I have a feeling it's going to kind of mentally check her back in, and I think we're going to see a good performance from her. I like Mackenzie Dern to win a decision here. I don't think she's going to finish Lemos. If she does, it may be like a submission or something like that. I don't think she's going to knock her out or anything. But I also wouldn't be surprised if Lemos is able to survive on the ground with Dern. So I like her to go the distance and win here. Give me Mackenzie Dern, guys, at plus 110. Keep it locked in. More picks coming later this week.